After completing the rehousing of my Rollei 50mm f1.8 in the last video, I happened upon a set of Rollei lenses including the same 50 f1.8, 28mm f2.8 and 85mm f2.8. I instantly knew this is going to be the next step in the series because my single lens rehousing now grew into a full set rehousing of matching lenses, all converted to PL mount. Two new additions, Rolleinar 85mm f2.8 and Rolleinar 28mm f2.8, along with the 50, form a small but very usable range. I'm sure you've noticed the change of color. I'm not using pink PETG anymore. This is PET CF17. Of course, it is not pure carbon fiber, but rather carbon fiber infused PET with 17% ratio. It has all-round better physical properties and is far more resistant to high temperatures. Heat deflection temperature, or HDT for short, is the temperature at which a plastic begins to deform under specific load and heat. For PET CF, HDT before annealing is around 105 Celsius and around 150 Celsius after annealing. So what is annealing? It's simply baking your prints at a certain temperature for prolonged periods of time after printing to improve the properties of the part. I did not anneal these since I do not plan filming in conditions above 105 Celsius. I do want to note that there were no issues when using PETG. It is completely fine. I merely made the change to improve the quality of the product preemptively. But I'm not saying that some issues wouldn't creep up with heavy use or in higher temperature environments. So to be safe, use PLA or PETG for prototyping and move on to more advanced filaments once you have your dimensions dialed in. At first, I expected this to be easy since these lenses are apparently all from the same series and their dimensions are all in line. So I had printed mounts ready for testing, but yeah, under the hood they are nothing alike. I was afraid I might be forced to send them off for a little bit of CNC machining to make some space for aperture control, but in order to be certain, measure, CAD, repeat. Focus rings and helicoid were buttery smooth this time, so I had no need to fabricate a completely new focus ring, only focus gear rings. This was the easiest part of the build, and it only took me a couple of prints to nail it for both lenses. The only issue here was with the 28mm. This front part is obviously thicker than the focus ring itself, so it had to be put on from the back side while the lens is fully disassembled. Mount and aperture ring assembly posed a far bigger problem, mainly due to this. In the original design, aperture is sandwiched in the mount with a slot for external control. This was very concerning because I cannot afford a lateral fatness in order to cram the lens into the PL mount cavity. To remedy this, I made a very thin interface and a corresponding slot in the PL mount. I had some trouble with designing PL mount as well, since I had to align focus stops with infinity, and obviously this took more than a couple of tries. But I hoped that once I crack one of them, it will be a simple matter of copy-paste. Nope. I did the 85mm first, tried the same part on the 28mm, no luck, further tuning and more prints were needed. Aperture forks were different as well. 85mm aperture control knob is recessed in the central element, so this part needs to be elongated to be able to control it throughout the focus range. With 28mm, it is far more exposed, so this is quite enough. And this is where PET CF showed its true worth. Very strong, high dimensional accuracy, no stringing, and high stability. Thin, but nigh on unbreakable. Snap? Well, almost. I got these two lenses without any front lens caps. I had to print them as well. This is where another problem crept up. Since I wanted to swap back from carbon fiber to regular PLA for this, I experienced a clog in my hot end. The reason for this is difference between filament temperatures. CF is high temperature filament being printed at around 300 Celsius and PLA is around 200 Celsius. So when I swap to PLA, printer is trying to flush the remaining carbon fiber filament from the nozzle at PLA printing temps, which is not sufficient and clog happens. This results in me having to tear apart the print head and manually unclog the nozzle. Since I really don't want to do this every single time, I found a solution which is quite crude but simple. Just print out a simple shape using PETCF high temperature settings in the slicer with PLA filament. So it will flush the remaining carbon fiber in the nozzle and swap to PLA. You lose a couple of grams of filament this way, but this is preferable to disassembling and cleaning the nozzle every single time you swap from high temp filaments to the regular ones. For the 50, I just printed out the same CAD parts from the last video in PETCF. I also adjusted a couple of dimensions, slightly improved design, and focus stops are slightly wider. That's pretty much it. Took off the PETG and slapped on PETCF. It's awesome. Now all three are ready. 85, 50, and 28. Look at those beauties. Yeah. They weigh 232 grams, 196 grams, and 176 grams. The 50 is even lighter with carbon fiber. They all have super smooth helicoids, but how do they match optically speaking? Here's a couple of very boring but inevitable tests. Same simple grade, f2.8, all of them. I have a gig in a week or so, and I will be using this set. No cheating, no backup lenses, so we'll see how it pans out. Compared to my previous work, these three took around 44 failed prints to complete, which is almost 2 times less than my first 3 conversions in the series, which took 84 prints. So I'm becoming more efficient with both time and materials. And the whole thing, 3D printing, CAD modeling and testing, took me 4 days. So I'm kinda pleased with the progress made. But looking at these, I think black is kinda dull. So next time we're gonna make them pop.